gentlemen, we are about to start the next technical session 2 on creating avenues for the next level. The session will be chaired by Professor Bijon Sarkar, Head of the Department Production Engineering, Jadavpur University. The speaker in this session are Ms. Sulochana Ghosh, Chief Corporate Strategy and Planning Business Excellence, TMILL, Mr. Ankur Chaturvedi, Vice President, Imami Group, and Mr. Debal Bishwas, Deputy General Manager, Information System, Indian Oil. I request Professor Bijon Sarkar, Ms. Sulochana Ghosh, Mr. Ankur Chaturvedi, and Mr. Debal Bishwas to take the seats on the dais. Let me introduce to the chairperson of this session, Professor Bijon Sarkar. Professor Bijon Sarkar is presently the head of the Production Engineering Department, Jadavpur University. He was the former Dean, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, JU, and was the former director of the Institute of Business Management, the National Council of Education, Bengal. He coordinated many projects funded by Department of Science and Technology and received several awards. He has been invited by AICT as expert member to visit different higher educational institutions in India. He has published more than 160 papers in the national and international journal and proceedings. He has almost 4 decades of experience in teaching, research, training, consultancy, and administration in different capacities, out of which more than 20 years he has been serving in the post of professor in Jadavpur University. Now, I hand over the floor to Professor Bijon Sarkar.
Thank you. And good afternoon to all of the presenters and also the invited speakers and delegates to this occasion, the technical session 2. The title is Creating Avenue for the Next Level of Supply Chain Management 5.0. We have the three speakers, Mrs. Sulochana Ghosh, Head Railway Commercial Division, TM International Logistics Limited, Mr. Ankur Chaturvedi, Vice President, Imami Group, and Mr. Dr. Debal Bishwas, Deputy General Manager, Information Systems, Indian Oil. We have almost 60 minutes in our hands, so all the speakers are requested to present their ideas within 15 minutes, and there will be 5 minutes for the question and answer sessions. And I would request our first speaker, Mrs. Sulochana Ghosh, Head Railway Commercial Division, TM International Logistics Limited. The title of our presentation, Green Supply Chains, How Logistics and Technology Accelerate Decarbonizing Factors. Mrs. Sulochana Ghosh, working almost 2 decades in several profiles in TMILL, including corporate strategy, change management, customer relationship, and other business functions. Currently heading the Railway Commercial Division at TM International Logistics Limited. Now, I hand over the microphone to Mrs. Sulochana Ghosh, please.
Thank you so much, sir, and a very good afternoon to all the audience here, dignitaries. Since morning we have learned a lot of things, and honestly speaking, I would like to bring the experience more as a industry partner to the sustainability journey. And before just the lunch session, I think it was Sanjay's session where he spoke, he has already touched this subject. My whole, talk would be around that, where and how, as all of us, we are making green supply chain part of our daily business. So whether I have led roles in strategy and I have been in business development earlier. Even my current role is also marketing and sales. So what pitch we as industry partners bring in, that is what I would like to touch upon. So a quick introduction of the organization with which I'm associated. So TM International is a subsidiary of Tata Steel, and we have 2 foreign partners along with us. While we claim to be an end-to-end logistics solutions, but I think a lot of consultancy comes in our daily chores of activities. We are a Kolkata-based company, but yes, we have pan-India presence, even international presence. This is a slide which is a sustainability slide for Tata Group, and if I'm not wrong, it was June is considered or celebrated as a sustainability month in Tata Group. And since we are a step-down subsidiary and we are part of the same group, it's very important that we move from optics to action. And when I say that, we hear a lot of things about sustainability. In business roles, we talk about carbon emissions. While there are many aspects, I think, but more closer, if you ask me, the focus is more on emissions, especially supply chain. Of course, when we move to production plant, you will have water conservation and other associated factors with it. Recently, I was part of a steel tech presentation, and it was, I think, last week in Taj, Bengal, and I've picked up something from there which I have added in my next slide. So when we talk about emissions, what is that we are actually looking into is the whole point. So what is that, carbon PPM we call it, which is the animal in the whole room, I would say. We got to learn from the vice president, Tata Steel, who is mostly into tech part of it, and he said that it's now in the range of 400, and if we do not take right steps now, anything that will happen to the planet? The answer was no. But we as human beings will not be there. So this was, the pitch he had given. So the short point is that will planet die? No, the planet will not die. But yes, whether we will exist or not, that is the question that we bring in here. Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3, I think I'll not repeat it. This is something the previous speaker took forward to. But since I represent supply chain, I represent logistics, it is very important to bring a point here that when we talk Scope 1 and Scope 2, it is something which you can control, and anything which you can control, you will have metrics around it. Anything where you will have metrics around, you will measure it, and you will definitely have some action plan to mitigate the risks associated with it. Moment you move to the Scope 3, and even in this slide, if you just read the boxes, it will kind of, give you a thinking hat. You have to wear thinking hat to kind of decipher that what these boxes actually mean. And there is the challenge which sits in Scope 3. It's a big value chain. It's a part of your big value chain. Yet it gets unnoticed and unmeasured for certain complex, I would say, policy-related issues. The way we measure, there are different frameworks through which we are actually arriving at Scope 3. We are not mandated to, again, give our emission targets and declare it. It's recommended. Now we are talking about top 1,000 companies. So it's a mess, but there is some method in that madness as well. So if you see in this slide, we have tried to highlight that there are two boxes which talks about logistics being as an upstream and a downstream Scope 3 emission contributor. And the previous speaker did speak that it is 90%, while this data is a little different, maybe it is an Indian context. But he speaks that it is 90%, so just imagine if something is contributing 90% of your emission, and it is not mandated to measure that target, then it's really a difficult challenge or a problem statement that we have. And an interesting slide here which says that even internationally also, there are many countries where Scope 3 reporting is not mandatory, while this is more an Indian context. But the whole point that why it is not mandatory or what are the challenges that are sitting in this particular bucket is something that, we were recently a part of a white paper, CII, where we tried to find as an industry, body that is that companies are actually getting challenged in understanding the scope 3. And if I have to conclude the whole study in a couple of lines, it comes out that, if there is a trucking company, it's very difficult at this moment to engage that trucking company in an awareness session around it. Give some, kind of, these are the measures that you have to have. There is no ecosystem where he can actually go and feed in data and get something out of it. So the whole measurement process is very cumbersome. And in that white paper, we have recommended that how government has to now play a pivotal role in bringing some portal, some mechanism where, simplicity we can put some data and the results come. I'll just bring in here because in one of my roles, I had, I had an experience in handling customs clearance. And there was a portal where, the government, the customs regulatory portals where you just feed in the details of your goods. They will ask you 2-3 questions and they give you exactly what is the duty associated with that product. If that mass and that scale can happen to anybody who is importing and he's an importer, and all CHs can get us, hands up information, then I don't think it's a very big challenge. We have to bring in some mechanism around it, and we have to make something mandatory so that companies start reporting it. Scope 3 emission, if you see companies who are in Indian context, companies who are not reporting it, you can see a big 64% of the companies are not reporting Scope 3. A very simple answer to it, it is not mandatory also. And yet, Scope 3, this is the data which I think doesn't gel with the previous speaker. He was saying that 90% of the emissions come from Scope 3, but here, if you see, there are industry perspective data, but yes, you can see as long as this data speak, a few, like power generation, this industry is not reporting 92% of its Scope 3. A short point, which I would like to summarize here, that is the first part of the presentation, is that there is actually a inconsistent understanding approach by various companies, which is creating this whole problem of understanding it. In TMILL, we do have a chief sustainability officer, and it was more a conscious call to also, measure that our emission, what is our emission in India. And while doing that study, we never left Scope 3. And the whole reason that we did not leave Scope 3 is because we were aware about this subject. We did a lot of hand-holding, which comes from Tata Sustainability Group as well. And I think that's the whole point. While India and Indian companies today may not report and get away with it, if we are not focusing on this aspect, I think the whole point is that our competitiveness in international market in years to come will go down. So that's the point. I have seen that few of the speakers are from MSME categories. So another point is that a very big Scope 3 emission also sits with MSMEs, even for that Scope 1, Scope 2, and there is very little awareness. So there is a lot of hand-holding that needs to be done in this particular, and it could be corporates, it could be government, it could be academics also, but I mean, somebody has to take that lead. Now I will move to the logistics part, which I feel that I'm more hands-on. See, when we talk about the logistics, we are talking like it is a costly affair, 14% of GDP, international benchmarks or European benchmarks are far better. But the whole point which we would like to bring out here is that India has a very big coastline. Yet, if you see our coastal or waterways is a very minuscule percentage. When we talk about CO2 emissions per ton, rail is always better over road. But some data I will show you that, still there is a large movement that happens on road, and primarily because, road helps you in getting an end-to-end kind of connectivity. But at the same time, it's very important, and consciously as business managers, we must see that what are the alternatives over road. And if it is rail, how does it contribute to the overall, reduction of carbon emission? That is equally critical. This is a data point which is from National Rail Plan, and it says that the current, if you see the goods movement, that is around 27%, and the whole plan is to move it to 45% by 2051, and that's a big point. And here the point comes that there is a lot of emphasis from government that private players should play a key role in moving ahead with it. And interestingly, I would like to say that TMILL has participated in taking this forum forward, and currently today we operate around 70 rakes for Tata Steel and for other key customer cement players. If I now go to government and Indian Railways now, I have put a screenshot here. If I think in slide, on the big screen it is visible, but for my colleagues here, I think it's a little difficult. But the whole point is that this is a new thing which Railways has introduced. And they exactly tell you that if you take your goods from point A to point B, and this is the kilometer, if you would have taken this by road, then you would have you would have generated extra emission of whatever tons. So this 219 here gives you an understanding that just by moving this goods from from road to rail, you have saved 219 kgs of carbon per ton kilometer. So this is the a good initiative. That is why I wanted to highlight here that how government is helping you to kind of measure that if you are moving your goods by rail, there is a good savings. However, on the other side, this is not connected with any kind of discount, or this is not, I would say it's more a motivational thing as of now. But moment it is commercialized, I feel that large players would come forward, whether it is logistics service providers or direct consignees. They will get advantage out of it. Quickly, this is how these two rails we have, I have put a picture here. These are general purpose wagon rakes, carries raw material, and I have given a picture of a special freight train operator which carries coils. So just to give a sense that by just moving goods through these rakes, we are actually helping our customers' reduction in carbon footprint. I will just quickly touch upon one more interesting element that I think in the previous slide I did mention that river is, or multimodal, it's all the same, coastal. These are another very interesting way to move your goods. And we have done a case study here with Tata Steel, which in short, in one line, that we have moved the goods. The starting point was the commercials, whether both the commercials have to match. So that is the starting point. And after that, if I just concluded, then by moving it through waterways, we have almost 1/3 of the emission comes from waterways. Although the number of days is little higher, and that is all because there is not a lot of market, not a lot of customers are trying to experiment these routes. So we are trying to experiment it out. We have also brought in one of our own vessels also. It's a small vessel, but that is just to do the piloting, just to sensitize the industry players here that there are opportunities for us to think logistics a little differently, unconventionally, and I think it's time that we move ahead. So if I have to conclude from this, second session, then this is the point that there is a huge potential that lies in multimodal, and yet, the industry is unaware. Again, here also, a lot of government initiatives are already floating, but we need right logistics players and some big corporates who have large logistics requirement to show that little faith and move ahead, even if it costs some cents extra per ton. To conclude, yes, we are talking about sustainable supply chain. The topic is, Industry 5.0, and if you see the key critical difference between them is sustainability is coming in under this, 5.0. I have not touched upon a few aspects, but when we talk about logistics, it is very important that talk about some alternative fuels. This is more a shipping industry, but it has taken some good shape. When we talk about rails, we are only talking about how are we improving the rail coefficient for that particular customer. And one important point, it's again, I will say, an upside of Indian Railways and RDSO, the design partners, that earlier in an SFTO rake, if we were carrying 2,800, 900 tons, then now those have been converted to higher wagon capacity, and we move almost 4,000, even we call it 25-ton axle load, 4,500. The whole point is that even efficiency helps in building or reducing your carbon emission. We also have to think it from that point of view. This is, I would say, my last slide, and the whole point that I would like all of you to leave with is that, we have our procurement managers, we have our strategy players, we have business leaders. When we are making a business case, it is very, very important, very critical that we give due cognizance to sustainability, emissions, also a place in that business case. When a procurement manager is speaking to, he should talk about, or he or she should definitely ask, what are the alternative modes of transportation available. Unless we start from there, it just remains a goal to achieve. But I think the whole point that why we all have gathered here is that it's the time to move from talking about to acting it. And with this, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sulochana Ghosh. Any questions from the floor, please? Okay, then we shall, at the end, we shall conduct the question and answer session. So let us give a big hand to Mrs. Sulochana Ghosh, please. Our next speaker in the technical session 3, revolutionizing supply chains, how AI and automation are shaping the future of logistics, to be presented by Mr. Onku Chaturvedi, who is the Associate Vice President, HSE, Excellence and Quality, Imami Group, Kolkata. Mr. Onku Chaturvedi.
Good afternoon. Well, after the sumptuous lunch and few more minutes in a pleasant air-conditioned environment, the last thing you want to do is listen to me. So I, though do not wear a uniform, but I remain a soldier at heart, and I speak from my heart. I currently lead sustainability for Imami. I am one of the previous speakers mentioned about the CSO. So the BRSR now mandates that all the top 1,000 companies have a person responsible for ESG. That's part of the BRSR report, the person responsible for ESG, and you can see it in all the annual reports. So that is already in place. Just give me a minute. There's some technical problem here. Ashby, sir. So sorry. Sir, how much time do I have? 15 minutes, 1-5. Okay, 14 I will finish. So if anyone wants it shorter, I can make it even shorter. Okay. So when you talk about AI and automation, what comes to your mind? Now, when you look at the first slide, just to give you an idea, the image that you see and the layout of this slide has been done by AI and not me. And that is something which is a technology is available free of cost to each one of us. Now, when we look at our work, specifically when I look at logistics and supply chain, what is it that is driving the need for transformation? The supply chains are becoming very complex. One of the previous speakers mentioned an example of a cotton grown in Pakistan, yarn being produced in India, garments being made in Bangladesh, and finally sold by a British company in the United States. Now, look at the supply chain which this will require, the complexity that will go into this. Ma'am talked about shipping, all the components which need to come in, clearances. The complexity is going up. Every complexity leads to a cost. जिंदगी में सबसे सस्ती चीज सबसे सिंपल होती है. जो भी चीज आप उसमें थोड़ा complexity डालेंगे उसकी cost बढ़ जाएगी. And cost is something that businesses don't like. So that needs to come down. Now competition is becoming more and more technological advanced. Like ma'am talked about multimodal transport, larger rakes. So if my competition, if I am a steel manufacturer and Tatas are using larger rakes and I continue with the smaller rakes, my transportation cost will definitely be higher. Now that is possible because of a technology which is not a very new age technology, but basically a technology which has increased the load carrying capacity of the rakes. So every technology, I have to keep abreast with technology. And we have now AI and automation which can address most of these challenges. So when you look at the supply chain, what is the problem in a supply chain? The complexities we spoke about. When we have AI and analytics, we can optimize our supply chain in real time. I can know that for every consumer item which goes to a retail shelf, what is the cost, what is the emission, what has gone into getting it till there in real time. Now, this availability of data enables data-driven decision making. So ideally, we would prefer autonomous decision making, but at least database decision making is possible today also. Then automation of operations. Lines, if you see today, most of the production shop floors have some, even the most primitive of shop floors in the consumer goods industry also have some level of automation definitely. when you look at industrial robots, the first thing which comes to mind is the automotive industry, where they started using robots for assembly. Yesterday, I was discussing with someone who who showed me a video of a robot peeling off the shell of an egg with the white intact, then creating a cut so that yolk starts coming out and then stitching the white. A robot doing that. So that is the level of accuracy which is possible today. And of course, the more you think, the more new ideas come, the more competition, the more products, the complexity also increases, and that is where AI helps. Inventory is a big pain for all supply chain professionals. Inventory, so how many people of you, the people from supply chain here, right? So how many people feel inventory is a problem? No one else feels inventory is a problem? Sir, not to some extent. The point is, for a supply chain professional, AI ये सब ज्ञान की बातें अलग हैं. A supply chain professional is paid a salary for solving a problem. तो अगर problem है तो हमारी मिलेगी. If I do not have a problem, the company does not have a problem, there is no role for a supply chain manager. Sir, inventory is not a weapon, sir. Inventory is the very essence of business. If there is no inventory, there is no sale. Inventory is not a problem. Like, okay, I will ask another very interesting question. Plastic is a very big problem today in this world. If you look at sustainability, environment, the biggest problem which comes to mind is plastic. How many of you think plastic is a problem? What about the rest? It is not a problem, sir. It's a problem. Everyone agrees. I say plastic is not a problem at all. Plastic is the best possible material ever created. It does not do anything. This plastic bottle lying there is not the problem. This plastic bottle has ensured that madam has access to clean drinking water. The bottle has not done anything wrong. The plastic has done nothing wrong. What a human being does with the plastic is the problem. Like ma'am spoke about that we don't need to save the earth. The problem is, in earth, the only problem is humans. There is no other problem on this earth. So plastic is not a problem. How we deal with the plastic? Plastic does not land up in the oceans on its own. We put it there. The person who invented plastic or the company which made this bottle did not design it to be thrown into the ocean. But it is people like me who casually chuck it out of my car, get washed into the Ganga and into the Bay of Bengal. So the problem is not plastic, problem is Ankur Chaturvedi. We have agreement here. So I wasted 1 minute of my time. Now, when you look at transportation, normal transportation in any business, transportation requires a major chunk of investment in terms of management time. Because, and it is very disorganized. If I look at the Indian model, we are at the mercy of the truck driver. He will stop when he wants to stop. Now, with today's technology, now if you see in one of my earlier jobs, we were mandated to put trackers, GPS trackers on trucks. Truck drivers would pick up the tracker and put it in a bucket which they hang in front of the truck with the water. Now what can you do? He knows I am going to be tracked with this, sabse pehle isko hi kharab kar do. So that is the problem with transportation, with logistics. But what is today? Almost all major transporters in India have 100% tracking of their vehicles. This has been possible because they have taken it away from the driver. The vehicle itself is GPS enabled. Now, AI-powered route optimization. We all use Google Maps for our daily commute. But today, the route optimization is possible. In fact, I don't know if you guys have noticed this feature on Google Maps now. When you do your map, you define the type of vehicle that you have, and it will give you the route which will give least emissions. And this is possible for our commercial applications as well. Automated vehicles. Now, ADAS is already there, self-driving vehicles. Tesla is already making self-driving trucks. Drone-based deliveries already being experimented in UAE by Amazon. All this will lead to faster delivery, reduced cost, and better sustainability. Now, the other part of the supply chain, the warehouses. Again, very labor intensive, very, very disorganized. Now, the ASRS have made it possible that a material is kept tagged, and it will be kept, I don't even know where it is kept, but when I want it, it will come out instantly. These warehouses are already there in India also. Then AI-powered warehouse management systems, where my inventory by FIFO, all types of logics are automated. So even if I want to do something wrong, it will not let me do it. Then condition monitoring of a warehouse, especially cold chain types, where you have real-time monitoring through IoT. The best example of warehouse management in India is the Amazon fulfillment centers. I personally feel that for every supply chain professional who has interest in warehousing should at least once visit one of the fulfillment centers. Now, what is the future? I personally feel that demand forecasting jobs are no longer going to be there. It will be done by machines. We tend to go by only historical data. But when you put AI into this, last year sale, last month sale, same temperature sale, same season sale, same festival sale, all these factors will be put in. Plus factors like elections, factors which normally are not possible for us to factor in, like will be factored in to give me a much realistic demand protections. So all the algorithms which make these predictions factor in all these things. It appears very futuristic right now because it's difficult to visualize. But when you sit with a company which is actually using it, and I've had the fortune of seeing it in action, when you sit in front of a console and the scenario mapping that it does, that simple thing, if I route it from this route vis-a-vis this route, what will the impact on my availability be? What impact on sales that will be? These kind of projections are already possible. And the most important part, it reduces waste. Now, what are the emerging technologies? One of the speakers spoke about the NLP. Now, what NLP does is, I am talking in English right now. You people could have headphones where you hear everything in Bangla. Ami Bangla bolle apni English shunte paren. Now, there is no, and it's on real time. And natural language processing is not just limited to voice or even text, invoices which have come in which language. Not even typed, handwritten messages, everything can be, so communication becomes language independent. So in a global scenario, imagine the potential this holds. Then the blockchain technology. Another speaker spoke about how one to many, many to one, many to many, these things happen. Now blockchain makes sure that any entry made once leaves that footprint forever. So invoicing, things like custom duties, all these will become very easy with blockchain. 5G technology will make connectivity seamless. We have all seen, I just overheard sir talking about mentioning which batch, and he said 74, and I said that was the year I was born. So we have people sitting here who were engineers before I was born. And I'm sure most of us would have migrated from a 2G or a 3G technology for sure from the mobile phone. Now imagine video calling. Do we even think before video calling? And we all know that to forget about live video streaming, to send a video file used to be such a pain. Now 5G will make all this seamless. While this presents a lot of benefits, there is a big challenge which comes. Technology will take away existing jobs while creating newer ones. The challenge is losing my job, losing what I do today. But the benefit or the opportunity is I can do something better and more meaningful. And the most meaningful thing that I can do right now is say thank you. Sir, 14.
Thank you, Mr. Ongedi, for your deliberations on a wonderful topic. Now, our last speaker for this technical session, SCM 5.0, connecting the dots. Very important, very, very important words. Connecting the dots in both logistics and distribution. It will be delivered by Mr. Debol Biswas. Debol Biswas is the currently Deputy General Manager, Information Systems, Indian Oil Corporations Limited, Indian Oil Bhavan, Gorihat, Kolkata. Mr. Biswas is a seasoned IT professional with a distinguished career in the downstream oil sectors, with extensive experience of 21 years at Indian Oil Corporations Limited. And with over 24 years of IT industry, he has spearheaded the key initiative in IT industry with respect to supply automation, logistics, and integration of the advanced automation systems of the corporations. Now I request Mr. Speaker, Mr. Debol Biswas to proceed for your presentation, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for the little introduction. It is really my honor to be standing here and giving some presentation to in front of this such a knowledgeable crowd. What I had heard from madam and sir, basically I am coming from an industry, so supply chain, what I am going to speak about the journey, what we have undertaken in last 24 years. And what we have achieved and where we are heading towards. Basically, what happens, there are a lot of innovations and a lot of new technologies are getting researched and a lot of new things are coming. But when you come to the practical experience of the customer or the corporations who are actually dealing with the ground level stuffs, so the scenario is a little bit different. I think already Mr. Chaturvedi was telling about that thing. So you cannot tell a truck driver how to behave because he will teach you how to behave. So let us move forward. So if I talk about the basic 5 points of supply chain, these are the planning. These are very absolutely technical and theoretical: planning, sourcing, making, delivering, and if return happens, how to handle the returns. And for return, everybody knows whenever we return some product in Amazon or Flipkart, how they are reacting now. When initially they launch their product in some of the places, they generally don't come for return, taking the return, because there was a chance that they will lose the original one along with the return both. So that is the kind of thing once upon a time in India happening, and now situation has changed with respect to the technology evolution. So if we talk about supply chain 5.0 in oil downstream, basically we are talking about reconciliation between the human and the machine. We generated a lot of data. A lot of data is generated in last 20, 25 years, because all the corporations had done a lot of IT initiative, a lot of IT asset has been generated to capture all the informations. So data is no longer a problem now. The problem is what to do with these data, enormous volume of data. What exactly we do with this data? We have the data, we have machines today, and now a new terminology is coming, that sustainability. Whether we can sustain with the resources we have along with us, and if we sustain, how long we can sustain. Then the question comes, how long? If the question comes, how long, then what should we do to extend that how long? So that is the main thing. And then comes customization of the entire supply chain process and our response. Pardon, sir? Our response towards it. So if I talk about Indian Oil in a downstream oil operation, everybody knows Indian Oil, so I am not going to explain what Indian Oil is. Indian Oil is basically almost half of the energy of India. So we call energy of India. And in our recent ad, we say nation first. It is really nation first, because sometimes you will not even imagine where we reach, where our product reach. Even only Army, Air Force can reach, or nobody else can reach. So we have the products, MS, HSD, ATF, FO, ESCO, all these different products. We have added petrochemicals also in our bucket. We have other products also, so those are minor products. I'm not going to tell all those about. We have our primary system, ERP system, and the auxiliary systems like SCADA, VTS, and the different business analytics tools. What I was talking about, the end point where we collect the data and analyze the data. Now, what to do with this data? Now, when we talk about supply chain, so the stakeholder of the supply chain is very, very important. They play a very pivotal role in this. Our channel partners, our dealer, distributors, our end customer, like many of you are already having an LPG cylinder in your home. The cylinder is getting transported to your home. That's why you are cooking. You are getting the food. Even in the Corona time, if you can remember, entire country was completely seized, but we delivered the cylinder to your home. At that time, our bottling plants was running almost at 160% capacity. Many of our contractors, employees died also during that period, because there was no way we can stop this kind of activity. Even petrol, diesel supply was stopped, but LPG was not stopped. LPG was one commodity was never stopped, because without food, nobody can survive. So the supply chain, how we handled, that was a learning for us. We learned and we evolved. Government entities plays a big role, very big key role here, because majority cases, government drive what exactly to do with the supply chain. There are right now many of the aspects due to the automation, the data exchange between the government entities and the oil companies are automated through different kind of APIs. Since I'm a technical person, IS person, so I will sometimes drive down to the technical part of it. Please excuse me. The road transport system, the petrol tankers, the bullets which transport your LPG from one bottling plant to another bottling plant, maybe the refinery to the bottling plants, the cylinders getting delivered, even the van wala who is taking the cylinders from the LPG go down to your residence, they are also a part of this transport system. The railways plays a very important role, as Madam was telling and Sir was also telling, because railway is basically near a clean fuel transport system. So we are having a very big transport system connected through railway. We have a 20,000 kilometer of pipeline which transport the finished product, as well as we have a crude pipeline also. We have a good, since our coastal line is very huge, so many of the marine transport through, oil transport happens through the marine. Even the entire crude import happens through the marine line only. Almost 85% of our LPG gets imported through the crudes. And the end consumer, definitely, from where you are purchasing the petrol, diesel, or maybe some other oil, lubricant portal, the airlines which we are filling. So they are our end customer. Even you who are purchasing the LPG cylinder, you are also our end customer. So entire of this stack is basically our stakeholder. To handle the supply chain of this complex operation, everybody carries an important role here. To understand the supply chain, so we have to drive down a little bit transformation journey of the Indian Oil Corporation Limited with respect to the system. Prior to 2000, it was all about, system was introduced, legacy systems was there where distributed computing was happening, and all of us, many of the new generation never had seen the floppy. Floppy was the only mode to take the data from there and sending it to the DTP center, and where the entire data gets processed. And the processing was so slow, sometimes it used to take 3 to 4 days to process the data to generate a ledger. After that, ERP came. So that's why I marked it in yellow. That's a very important step in our digital transformation journey. The early of this century, that journey we had embarked upon. Then all our locations, supply locations, were connected to the SCADA-based system. And those SCADA-based systems got integrated to the SAP ERP system. So many of the automation got implemented. Why I'm telling this thing? Because at that time, the supply chain was, many of the things were handled manually. Based on the data generated, data used to be taken in an Excel file, and the supply chain manager or the S&D manager used to see, okay, these are the transporters who are getting more load. I have to change this. I have to prioritize the other transporter also, otherwise other transporter will go on a strike. So those things are always there. Slowly, we removed these kind of human job and appointed a machine or an algorithm to do this job. The automation started replacing that human job. Then there was a big change came when the government of India, PAHAL scheme came, the DBTL scheme came. InSoft, one software was developed, which was basically internally in-house development, where a lot of complex operation with respect to the DBTL, direct benefit transfer to the end customer for LPG. I think many of you already know about it. So that was developed. The idea was to give the cylinder delivered to the customer premises on time and transfer the subsidy to his bank account directly. Both the thing was done. Once this is done, latter part comes business analytics and the mobile apps. Then IIoT got introduced in the organization, very small scale, but it got introduced. Then come our LPG operation and the customer operation got shifted towards the COTS product. We have Oracle CBEL introduced in our organization for handling the DMS and CRM. After COVID, the journey towards cloudification started. We had embarked upon supply chain related software, which is cloud-based software. We generated different cloud-based applications to handle our supply chain. So this I already have said. So basically what happened during the implementation of ERP, we got the centralized data collected. We optimized our inventory. As sir was telling that inventory is playing a very key role here. I should not have any inventory which will be unnecessarily blocking my space. At the same time, I should have an inventory by which I can increase the day's coverage in case of any critical scenario. Let's say there is some localized issue happened, the road got blocked and the supplier is not able to come, but in that area I have to give the fuel. I should have sufficient amount of fuel in my inventory, otherwise I will not able to maintain that supply chain model running. We had implemented our demand planner, which used to take care of the entire crude import for the uninterrupted supply of petrol, diesel across the country, even the LPG also. It used to take care of the entire historical data with respect to the supply, sales pattern, the demand, market demand, and everything was a historical data based only. and the seasonal changes in the sale. Let's say there is a festival season coming up, so we know what happened in last 3 years in the festival season. If the population increased in that particular place, what is to be done that we know, and accordingly the supply chain model generate what kind of inventory I have to put in a particular place. Based on that, the backtracking take place that, okay, on such and such day of such and such month, I have to place a rake from Panipat refinery to Karnal bottling to Jalandhar terminal, or Haldia refinery to Morigram terminal. So a lot of things was taking place automatically. The system used to do this calculation and give the thing. Then comes the smart terminals. All the terminals where IIoT or IoT got introduced, the SCADA system got connected with SAP, it used to exchange the data. Exchange of data means I have this much of stock inside my tanks. So when I am doing a supply chain planning for the upcoming month, what are the things to be taken care? If a tank is going for maintenance, or if a tank is having some problem I am not able to supply, if the supplying bays are not having some issues, it is having some safety issues, what are the things to be done? All these things are coming in front of the people. That was not done manually. The system was able to generate the data because we have to run the supply chain model very efficiently. This I already said, so I will not take any time on that. So then we embarked upon the journey of advanced analytics. There are two types of analytics, by the way, I'll say. One is a predictive analysis, and another is a preventive analysis. When we have a historical data and we do some analysis and say that, okay, these are the things happen, and based on these, I'm going to take the decision that how I'm going to mitigate my risk for this supply chain or for anything. So that will become a preventive analysis. But predictive analysis will give me a wisdom that what should I do? System will take the decision. It will be an autonomous decision that, okay, you should take the model A, and that will be the optimal model to maintain your supply efficiently. So it actually started giving me a real-time adjustment and scenario planning. For example, I'll tell you one thing. 2021, we integrated our entire supply system with CREES, Indian Railways, through API. So what happened, whenever there is an empty rake coming to our location, we come to know that these are the empty rakes coming to our location for filling. In one of the locations, we tried with a deep learning camera also. When the rake passes in front of the camera, it captures the number of the rake, and it finds out from our history what are the products it actually carried earlier. Okay, we moved to in that level. And every 15 minutes, we get the data from the Indian Railway that these are the rakes carrying these products. On the map, right now, also I can see where are the products going. And what was the freight involved in it? As Madam was telling that in the site, if you give the distance from and to distance, it will tell you what is the actual carbon footprint you are going to reduce. So we get those information calculated directly, dynamically, and that is coming to our system. If there is a demurrage, let's say the rake is standing in the station, I am not able to decant it, or I am not able to fill it, but railway will charge me after that half an hour, 30 minutes time. I have to pay railway that. So these are the things was hidden from the management. Management was telling that, okay, this location mein zyada demurrage ho raha hai, but what was the reason? Which product was giving this delay? Which product was increasing this demurrage? We are not in a position to identify, but right now, today, we are in a position to identify what exactly happening. In a location, in public sector or any government organization, there is a big problem with respect to overtime. I think many of the people who are already there in government sector, they will agree on that particular point. What happened? 5:30, the shift is finished. Suddenly, you come to know that a rake of 69 bogie rake is coming to your location. You have to decant it. If you don't decant it, there will be heavy demurrage. So you have to call the people. Okay, you come here and you have to do the decantation. Although it is automated, but some surveillance will be there. So what happened? If you don't know when the rake is coming, that will be a problem. You have to call the people, you have to send the car, or you do all the logistics arrangement. Now, by introduction of this new system, we come to know, the location in charge come to know at least 2 hours prior to that, this rake is coming to my location, he will get a SMS. So this kind of supply chain integration we had done. So it reduces cost, increase the resilience, and minimize the disruption. As sir was talking about the blockchain, although officially we have not done the blockchain, but definitely the way we have performed with the way we integrated our digital assets, we actually created immutable data ledger, which is a basic custom block of the blockchain. Then the entire end-to-end traceability is possible because of this. Enhanced collaboration with the stakeholder. Right now, I don't know whether you have heard about this EBMS or ethanol blended petrol supply. So government had given a mandate of 20% ethanol blended supply for reducing the carbon emission in BS6 petrol. So what happened, these different molasses are used for generating this ethanol. 2 years, 3 years back, we are not having that much of storage to store the ethanol, because to have 20% blended ethanol supplying for 21 days coverage, you should have a big storage. And everywhere this ethanol is not getting produced, because northern belt where the sugarcane belt is there, more there. So that's I think grade 1 or A group 1 molasses. So there the sugarcane gets generated more. Even Karnataka also that gets generated more. So we created application and visibility to the supplier of this, all these distilleries who used to create this molasses or ethanol, so that they can also see what is the ethanol stock in our location, and they can send the truck accordingly. And once that interaction started happening, the supply chain become much more normalized. Initially, it started with 8% ethanol blended, and now we have reached within 2 years, government given mandate 2025 is 20% ethanol blended. Yeah, sure. I have only 2-3 slides. So basically what we have already said, that we have already done the B2B and B2B integration with respect to optimization. I can remember 2009 we integrated with Tata, 2008, 7, 8 we integrated with BPCL, HPCL in B2B and B2C. Supply chain transparency we have already talked. Collaboration with logistic partners also we done. This is a very recent project what sir was telling. This is something which actually replacing a group of people, a department basically. A department will do only this job, and the entire advanced planning and scheduling is going to take place. This project is done on cloud. It's a Kinaxis cloud-based API and advanced planning and scheduling for lubricants, because lubricant we are having near about 1,000 different type of SKUs, almost 250 different type of lubricants. So entire planning to entire production system is mapped with this, and it is generating me a complete plan for the month and the week and the daily day, how much I have to produce to maintain my end supply point. So this is just a graphical representative of whatever I have said. So either it is a pull-based or push-based. Sustainability, madam had already talked, so I am not going to tell anything about it. It will be a repetition. Definitely digital twin also we are exploring in somewhere, but although we do not have much role in the digital twin because we are not in manufacturing, there are some challenges we are facing. Challenges are there, we have a lot of legacy system. Got generated in between last 10, 15 years. To integrate the legacy systems with this kind of new technology, it's a little bit challenging, but definitely we are going to come across the solution. Cybersecurity, since supply chain 5.0 is very much linked with IoT, so cybersecurity is a big risk. You must have heard about a lot of cyber attack with respect to the IoT devices. So we have IT policy and OT policy also, it's in process, but definitely it is more and more IoT devices in the supply chain process, all the endpoints, it is going to give a better visibility on the entire supply chain. So in conclusion, what I say that definitely AI is another part. With IoT, we are working upon it. Very recently, we did one inventory optimization with respect to our retail outlets, where we store the and sell the petrol, diesel, where some AI methodology was used. So we tried that if in case of any refinery evacuation happens, how we can use this extended arm of our dealer to store the products, because there will be huge amount of products will not have that kind of storage. So why not to use the dealer's storage to extend that particular inventory? So that's all from my side. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, in this session, we have the 3 papers, and the title of the session is Creating Avenue for the Next Level. Truly speaking, and all the 3 speakers, Mrs. Sulochana Ghosh, Head Railway Commercial Division, TM International Logistics Limited, Mr. Ankur Chaturvedi, Vice President, Imami Group, and Mr. Debul Biswas, Deputy General Manager, Information Systems, Indian Oil, talked about how to create the avenue for the next level. Really, they are doing the live demonstration. They have shown the live demonstration for the supply chain management 5 for onward journey to our next level. To my minds, I would like to share few points. When I got the invitation from Alumni Association, immediately it came to my mind that is supply chain management is a new subject, emerging subject? Truly speaking, supply chain management is not at all a emerging field. It was started with the journey of Alexander the Great. As you all know, Alexander came from Greece to attack India, 263 BC. Now, at that time, what was the logistics? What are the equipments? What are the foods? What are the medicines with Alexander the Great? He took the decision, all the items required during the travel and also during the fight. Truly speaking, the fight between the British people and the American Revolution, 1776, the war was, the British soldier failed due to the failure of the logistic systems. The ships which carrying the ammunition from England to America, they failed to reach at the right time. So British was defeated in the war. Similarly, in the 1991, the supply chain management came up due to the Gulf War. So whatever we are talking about, the supply chain management as on date, from the supply chain management 4 to supply chain management 5. So there will be the interaction between the human touch with the robotic system and under the digital manufacturing systems. Most importantly, there has been paradigm shift from the mass production to the mass customization. As you all know, customer is the king under this LPG environment. This LPG does not the liquefied petroleum gases. This is from the liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Across the world, customer can get anything at any point of time. Only the thing is that previously what was what is known as a make to stock, now that has been changed in the engineer to order. Customer is giving the direction, what type of material, what type of the process, at what place it will be delivered. Now, under these situations, the right quality of the product, the right time, at the right place, at a minimal cost is to be delivered. Now, all the 3 speakers spoke about all the types, what has been discussed, number 1. And number 2, sustainability has been explained in a very meticulous way. And Mr. Chaturvedi has rightly pointed out the next level of avenues is the application of drones. Nowadays, Amazon is meticulously using the drones in delivering the items to the different parts of the world, including UAE and the USA. So on behalf of myself and on behalf of the organizing committee, let us give them a very big hand, please. Now it is left for the question and answer sessions. Now, I would like to get the questions from the floor, please. Okay. Then I hand over to our speaker.
The speaker, only one question or one observation. See, I'm from the generation born after independence in the 50s, okay, and it is about 70 years. During this period, we have heard about computer in the different type and packages of different kinds. second generation, third generation. And every time we hear about it, and people come and talk to us, they sell us the moon. They always say, this is the product of the future. You take this, your future will be bright. You take this computer, your future will be all bright. And every 3-4 years, we see new systems, new product, new systems, and new product and new concepts. I'm afraid, maybe we can discuss during the break. AI, are we putting too much on the AI system? Are we dreaming too much with the AI? Are we being realistic in selling AI to entire generation? So I think there is a caution. AI cannot be the solution for everything because the AI is created by us only. AI is not self-created. AI is created by humans. And there are limitations of human, and they will learn. They will learn with experience. They will improve on it. So AI cannot be a sole solution provider. We are the solution provider. AI is just a tool. That's the way I put it across.
And suddenly the stock markets stumbled for Google, Microsoft, and others. There is a feeling that there has been too much of hype about artificial intelligence. Will it become like a dot-com bubble? So that was a question came up in the investor's mind, and it reacted very badly. Of course, within few days, things are normal. So this has been always a feeling that too much of hype should not be created. Second is, human brains are much superior than the computers. Computer is a faithful dog. So we have to learn it and we have to capture it. If we are not learning it, then computer will rule over us. So what is necessary for us to learn, unlearn and learn. That's the only thing.
We are running short of time.
Sir, just a small point to add to what you said. Sir, you mentioned, this is something which keeps coming to my mind, and I've extensively written about it. Technology makes us dumb. I give you an example. I drive a Duster. My wife had a Nano. And while reversing the Nano out of the parking where I normally park the Duster, she had parked, so I said I was reversing her car and I banged the car at the back. So imagine the size difference between a Duster and a Nano. The reason is the Duster has sensors at the back. So I don't look back. आवाज आएगा तो रुक जाएंगे. Nano में आवाज नहीं आया, नहीं रुका. लग गया गाड़ी. हाँ, exactly. जोर से आवाज आई. Now, exactly. So now my point is, now this is what I keep saying, that I have lost the ability, and I learned to drive on a jonga where you couldn't even see the edge of the vehicle. And driving on a hilly road, you had to drive with approximation. And that was a critical skill to drive the car. Now I have lost that skill. If I don't have a 360-degree camera, I feel uncomfortable. दिख नहीं रहा है कहाँ जा रहा है. Now, if you keep looking at it, if you look at Sir's generation, I am sure Sir can do at least a 2-digit multiplication without a calculator. Maybe even a 3-digit. Guys like me and even younger to me will struggle with even single digit. 2 plus 2 also they'll need a calculator. So technology is making us dumb. The single technological advancement which created intelligent life as we know it, intelligent life, humans who have every process. The biggest advancement was their ability to control and master fire. That was a skill which made human beings the apex species on earth. You all agree with this? That was it. Now think, can any one of you light a fire? Can any one of us? I can't. If I don't have a matchstick or a lighter, I cannot light a fire. And that is the skill, that is the technology which made us the apex species. And just imagine, if we had to struggle to light the fire like our forefathers, would we be discussing about AI? That answers the question. Technology does not make you dumb. It makes you intelligent to do something more advanced. And the same will happen with AI. Thank you.
Lot of thanks to all the dignitaries on the dais for such an excellent deliberation, and also lot of thanks to Professor Bijan Sarkar for conducting the session so nicely. Now, I would request Mr. Shapon Noskar to present mementos to Professor Bijan Sarkar, Ms. Sulochana Ghosh, Mr. Ankur Chaturvedi, and Mr. Debal Bishwas. I also request Mrs. Mithu Singhoray and Mrs. Shubha Mukhopadhyay to assist Mr. Shapon Sarkar. Ms. Sulochana Ghosh. Mr. Ankur Chaturvedi. Mr. Debal Bishwas. And the chairman of the session, Professor Bijan Sarkar. There will be no break now, and the next technical session will be conducted, technical session 3 on connecting the dots.